Hi everybody, it's Lyn from Lyn's Crafts. I'm here again to share a bracelet tutorial with you. First thing I've done is rolled out a bit of gold Premo just on a 4 on my pasta machine, so about mid thickness on the pasta machine. Cut the edges. So I want clean edges this time. And then I've cut a little pattern. So I'm going to do a little cutout pattern on this particular bracelet. So I measured the width of the bracelet and drew that on some cardstock. Then decided how wide I want the top and bottom edge, so there will be some strength to the actual filigreed piece. Then I have cut out the design that I want, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to flip it and continue on down the pattern. Alright, so let me actually I'm actually going to flip this sheet over and get the dog hair off. Okay, just because this end is the end that went through the pasta machine last folded, so I want to get rid of that fold. Okay, so I'm going to lay this out, and I've intentionally left it long so I can line it up, and I won't get a tilt out of my pattern. Alright, so instead of using my craft knife to start off with, I'm going to use the small end of my ball tool and literally just draw this pattern onto the clay. Which may or may not work out as well as I want, because of course the end of the ball tool is larger than my clay blade. But I don't really want to risk cutting my template. So I'm just going to take care and try my best not to cut my template. Because unfortunately, I just put, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to see that, I just put a new blade in my craft knife. Alright, now I am going to flip this around. Ha. And as you can see, I cut an angle on the end specifically so I could do this. and it will leave the proper gap in between the swirls. Alright, so I'm just going to continue on down the bracelet, cutting out these shapes. Sorry, I know my hand's in the way right now. Alright, and I'll be back when I'm done with this fiddly, tedious little bit. Okay. Now it worked out just like I wanted somehow. I love it when that happens. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to round the edges. And then I'm going to do some detailing in between. Alright, I'm not sure how well this is going to work out. Just trying to clean up a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do, I hope you can see, I'll start over here. Alright, just getting some of that leftover clay. Okay, so I'm going to try to outline, I guess you would say. Right, something like this. Now, of course, I'm not going necessarily for neatness. I want this to have a handmade kind of look, especially since it is. Alright, but I'm going to continue on the rest of these pieces. I'll give you an idea what two of them look like next to each other. Alright, and then I'll also go along the edge. So I'll be back when that's done. Alright, because I'm not really wild about the way it's looking, I may decide not to put this video up. But I'm going to try going in with this texture sheet in a few places. And see what I think. I may decide it just needs it all over. Okay, for some weird reason, that actually helped. Okay. Now I'm thinking about rolling out a bit of a snake and going around those swirls. Let me see what I think. Alright, I've rolled it out pretty thin. Alright, I'm not sure whether I like that or not. I'm thinking not. I'm liking it just like it is. Alright, so I'm going to take it and put it on the can and bake it. Okay, sorry I skipped ahead a bit. I took this Premo purple pearl and I rolled it out with my texture sheet, and I've lined the bracelet with it. Alright, now I just need to trim it and then put it back on the can and bake it. So to trim it, I'm just going to take my clay blade and trim it. It's actually pretty simple. Alright, then I'm going to bake it again at 275 for an hour. Okay, here it is. Needs just a bit of sanding, especially on the edges. May actually need a little cleaning up. Alright, one of the things I've showed you before is how flexible these are. Now you won't get that with SculpeyIII, it'll be much more brittle. One of the things I have learned though recently from Polyform actually is that if you bake SculpeyIII at a higher temperature, it does become stronger. I haven't tested that to see if it's so, but that's what they tell you. Or that's what they are telling you. Alright, so I've got this Dazzling Metallics from Deco Art. It's Glorious Gold is the color I'm going to use. Just to give the gold a little pop of color. Okay. Now you'll see right away this color of gold is quite different than the Emperor's Gold I used the last time. And I'm not trying to go on the edges of the gold, I'm just trying to stay on top. Okay, so I'm going to finish this up, and then I'll be back. Okay, now I'm going to put a coat of gloss sealer on it, and this is Varathane gloss sealer, which is a water-based sealer. You can use a Rust-Oleum. From what I understand, you can use a Minwax, but just make sure that it's a water-based sealer. Okay, I'm gonna antique this afterwards, but the reason I'm putting the sealer on now is so that the antiquing doesn't penetrate the paint. Alright, so I'm going to coat the whole gold surface. Okay, now it's dry with the Varathane on. I'm going to add some Deco Art Media antiquing cream, and this is in the raw umber. Now, of course, gold doesn't actually antique or tarnish, but I want the shadows to pop a bit, so that is the thought behind my action. Alright, and I'm not going to thin it down this time. I'm not going to thin it down too much because it is kind of thick. So, ignore what I just said. I'm going to thin it down a bit. But really just a bit. I don't want to thin it down so much to where it will bead off on the paint. On the Varathane. Alright, but I may go just a bit thicker. Because I added the Varathane, it doesn't want to stick. I'm not really going for a total coverage because of course I'm going to wipe it back off. Alright, and the thing about these antiquing creams, they're designed so that you let them dry before you go back and take them off with a wet paper towel, baby wipe, whatever your choice. And as you can tell, once again, I'm just trying to stay on top of the gold. Not going in the purple at all. Okay, here it is. I've wiped back the antiquing cream and then applied another coat of Varathane. Alright. So that's it for this one. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll post the links down below, at least to my social media. The only thing that I used really besides the Varathane was the acrylic paint. This particular texture sheet, I believe, has been discontinued. I can post a link to a comparable substitute, but that's it, and bye for now.